السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله خالق الوجود من العدم وجاعل النور من الظلم ومخرج الصبر من الألم، فملك التوبة على الندم، فنشكره على المصائب كما نشكره على النعم، ونصلي على رسوله الأكرم ذي الشرف الأشم والنور الأتم والكتاب المحكم وكمال النبيين والخاتم سيد ولد آدم الذي بشر به عيسى بن مريم، ودعا لبعثته إبراهيم عليه السلام حين كان يرفع قواعد بيت الله المحرم، فصلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أتباعه خير الأمم الذين بارك الله بهم كافة الناس العرب منهم والعجم. فالحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره، ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا، من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة، وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك، فعليه أفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم، وعلى آله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال جل وعلا في كتابه العزيز وفرقانه الحميد بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. As Muslims, as believers, we're always recommended to think deep and to reach far till the end. As there's a beautiful saying that the gaze of a believer should be deep and far reaching to the end. That what is the outcome and how do I maximize on my benefit? The Salaful Salihin, our pious predecessors, were individuals that were true students in its essence. When they used to look at something, they wouldn't have a very myopic view. Rather, they will think and ponder of how they can benefit from something, whoever that person may be. And often what happens to many of us, we only look up to successful individuals within our lives. People who are successful financially, they have education, they have achieved something in their life. And when we look at a layman, someone who maybe doesn't have any education, someone who's just doing some, labor work, we often look down upon that person and we think that what can I learn from that individual? He doesn't have any education, he hasn't achieved anything whatsoever. The scholars look back, and there's a beautiful scholar from the Salaful Salihin where he even teaches us a beautiful lesson that we can even learn from looking at children. The often notion is, look at a lad who's 5 years old, 10 years old, he has no responsibility, all he does is just eat, sleep, drink, and maybe go to school. His mother takes care of all of his responsibilities, even washes his clothes. This child doesn't have any responsibilities, what can I learn from a child? But one of the scholars beautifully, he says, خمس خصال في الصغار لو كانت في الكبار مع ربهم لكان أولياء. That children have 5 qualities that if the adults of the time were to adopt these 5 qualities, then they will, with their Rabb, then they will be the awliya of the time, they will be the friends of Allah Rabbul Izzah. And I wish to elaborate on these 5 qualities that we can learn from children. And I will elaborate as I go along. The first quality that you can learn from children, لا يهتمون بالرزق. Children are never worried about their sustenance. As the average adult is worried about what will happen to the stock market, what will happen to my assets, what will happen to the country and whatnot and the economy, etc., the average child is never worried about the rizq, whether they'll be able to eat or not. The poet very beautifully says, سهرت عيون ونامت أعين في أمور تكون أو لا تكون. There are some individuals who are not able to go to sleep because they're so worried about their financial status, and there's others individuals who are not able to open their eyes while they have no assets or anything whatsoever in their bank balance. And this is a testimony that Allah Azza wa Jal is the provider of rizq. How often have you and I seen individuals who maybe came from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or India with like 5th grade level education? Subhanallah, they came to this country, they worked hard, and now they're running an entire empire. While there's individuals who are competent, who have a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD, and they're saying, brother, do you know any hospital that's hiring? I just completed my residency and I'm looking for a job. It's a testimony that Allah Azza wa Jal is the provider of rizq. So the first quality that you see within children, they're never worried about their sustenance. And it's important to be worried. However, it should not affect your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal in such a way that your gham and your worry is only about your rizq and your finances, etc. The second quality that children have that we can adopt and learn from children, وَإِذَا مَرِضُوا لَا يَشْكُونَ مِنْ خَالِقِهِمْ. When children are sick, they never complain to Allah. While the average individual will say, hey, I'm a healthy person, I look after my diet, I exercise, I go to the gym. So why is it that I have diabetes and I'm only 40 or 42 years old? They never complain. Why is it that I have cholesterol? Why is it this? Why is it that? I was very cautious about my health, and why is it that I got affected? Qadi Shuraih radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, a great jurist at the time of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, he saw an individual going out in the streets and he was complaining about his physical health. And he saw this individual going from person to person and complaining that, this is what has happened to me and I'm struggling and this is the challenges that I'm going through. He grabbed this individual and he pointed towards one of his eyes. وَأَشَارَ إِلَىٰ إِحْدَاهِمَا. He pointed towards one of his eyes. And he said, for the last 32 years, I've been blind by my left eye, but I never disclosed this to anyone. And I'm only saying this to you. You're the first person to know about it. I never complain or never disclose this to anyone. If you have an issue, if you have a problem, complain to Allah Azza wa Jal. I often tell people, do not complain about Allah, rather complain to Allah, because Allah is the only one who will solve your problems. What is the purpose of you complaining to other people? No one can solve your problem besides Allah Rabbul Izzah. The third quality that children have, يَأْكُلُونَ مُجْتَمِعِينَ. Children eat together. They have this quality of togetherness. If you see a child eating a chocolate or a candy, and if the other one asks, hey, can I get a piece? And he'll just give it. While you teach your children, hey, you know, this is the chocolate or this is the lunch that I'm giving you, don't share with other children. They still go to school and they still share it with other people. Because children have this quality of eating together and sharing with other people. Today, homes have become like hotels. People clock in and clock out. You know, very seldom that people and family actually gather together and eat on the same table. And that's where the fight begins. Hey, who left the dishes in the kitchen? Who was the last one in the kitchen? The person just left the dishes. They didn't wash it. Homes have become like hotels. We don't eat together. Once the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were falling short on their food, so they called Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to look and to investigate. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam looked at the cook, looked at the chef. He said, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَفْتَرِقُونَ. Perhaps you're eating individually. Eat together, and you will see the divine barakah and the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal will be with you. So the third quality is يَأْكُلُونَ مُجْتَمِعِينَ. Children eat together. The fourth quality that children have, وَإِذَا خَافُوا جَرَفَتْ عُيُونُهُمْ بِالدُّمُوعِ. When children fear, they tear. When children fear, they cry out of fear. While the average man feels that crying is like a feminine quality. I can't cry. You know, I have to hold up my tears. You know, once I remember 2 years ago when I took the first group for Umrah, about 4 years ago now, obviously. And there was an individual, after we landed around 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. in the morning in Jeddah, and then we went to perform our Umrah. And we were trying to stay in a group, but it was very difficult, obviously. And then we all, you know, scattered and we get lost, and then we perform our Umrah. So we saw the individual the next morning, and he wasn't so religious, so pious, etc. He used to just pray whenever he gets the time, etc. And it was the first time going because someone, you know, motivated him to go for Umrah, and he had the money, so he went. So we saw him for the next morning during breakfast, and his eyes were extremely red. They were pink. So people thought that he had some allergies, or due to the lack of sleeping and we were traveling, that maybe his eyes are pink. So they said, you know, is everything okay? Do you need some eye drops? We'll give you. He said, no, I'm completely fine, but I would like to share a story. So he said, go ahead, share a story. He said, when we started to perform Umrah, and you know, every single tawaf, I would look around me right and left and behind and front. I will see that everyone was engaged and everyone was crying to Allah. Some people were, you know, in salah, other people were doing tawaf, other people were reciting Qur'an. But everyone seemed very engaged and devoted, and they were crying to Allah Azza wa Jal. And I over here was completely lost. I had nothing to cry about. So on my last circuit around the Kaaba, at my 7th tawaf, I just told myself in my heart that, oh Allah, give me the ability to cry out of your love since you brought me to your house. And he started to cry so much. For 2 or 3 hours he was crying till the Fajr Adhan went on. And he said that if I was to die before this, I will not have tasted the sweetness of Iman and being in front of Allah's house. And this is why my eyes are extremely red and pink. So cry out of the fear of Allah. All of us have our internal problems in our life, financial problems, family problems, etc., etc. You know, someone's not happy, someone's doing this, someone's doing that. You know, your child is not listening to you. But cry to Allah Azza wa Jal. Stop complaining to others and trying to seek out to other individuals to solve your problem. Cry to Allah Azza wa Jal out of His fear that Allah will solve your problem. The last but not least, the quality that this scholar highlights, that we will see within children, وَإِذَا تَخَاصَمُوا تَسَارَعُوا إِلَى الصُّلْحِ. That when children get into an argument, the next day they reconcile. You know, if they get into a fight, you know, maybe someone was borrowing the other one's scooter or whatever, the next day he will cross the street and he will go pray with his friends. While the average adult is, oh, he borrowed this from me or he took some money from me, and we hold on to grudges. It's not easy to forgive and forget, but believe me, the reward that lies within forgiving your brother or your sister, only Allah Azza wa Jal knows how He will compensate you. But the average individual holds a grudge. But you see this quality within children, they forget the next day. You know, maybe one hit the other or they took something. They forget the next day they start playing. So these are the 5 qualities that you see within children that individuals can adopt with their Rabb, with their sustainer and their creator, and it will build upon their relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. And often this is something that you will learn in life, that never look down upon another individual, regardless of their status. They may have spent like 15 years in jail and they just came out, and you're like, well, what am I going to learn from these people? But every single one of us here are special in our own ways, and each and every single one of us have qualities that we can benefit and learn from each other. I'll leave you with this last quote of Maulana Abul Hassan Ali al-Nadwi rahimahullah ta'ala, who was a great scholar from India. He mentioned this beautiful statement in Urdu. He said, "Koi shakhs islah aur istifada se mustaghni nahi hai," that it doesn't matter who you may be, no one, regardless of how rich or wealthy or successful, whatever you have achieved in your life, in your community or in your vicinity or even in this world, no one is immune. No one is immune from benefiting and learning from each other. And this is from the beautiful deen of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we learn from each other and we do not look down upon each other. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the ability to internalize these beautiful qualities and to bring these qualities within our lives and to better our relationship with our Rabb and our sustainer, our creator. Wa sallallahu wa barika ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. ألا إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك، وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات، وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. قال النبي صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم: أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر، وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر، وأصدقهم حياء عثمان، وأقضاهم علي، وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة رضي الله تعالى عنها وعنهم. اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان، اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان، اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وجعلنا منهم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين، ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. اللهم أعطنا ولا تحرمنا، اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا، اللهم استعملنا وتقبلنا لخدمة دينك. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق، وأعمالنا من الرياء، وألسنتنا من الكذب. اللهم تقبل منا كما تقبلت من عبادك الصالحين. اللهم تقبل رجالنا ونساءنا وأطفالنا كما تقبلت أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. ربنا تقبل منا بقبول حسن كما تقبلت من عبادك الصالحين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أقم الصلاة، إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا.
الله أكبر الله أكبر، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. استووا استووا، أقيموا صفوفكم واعتدلوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والذين يقولون ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين وجعلنا للمتقين إماما أولئك يجزون الغرفة بما صبروا ويلقون فيها تحية وسلاما خالدين فيها حسنت مستقرا ومقاما. قل ما يعبأ بكم ربي لولا دعاؤكم فقد كذبتم فسوف يكون لزاما. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر. استغفر الله. استغفر الله.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Brother Tanveer. It is nice to see our young generation coming forward in this field, and mashallah, it's very encouraging. And one thing about the social distancing, according to the CDC, they give you different guidelines every other day. As more people get vaccinated and they lift restriction little by little. And our Masjid Darul Qur'ān, we have decided if you are vaccinated, you don't have to have social distance, but you keep the mask on. No social distance if you are vaccinated, but you have to keep the distance, but you have to keep the mask on. And if you are not vaccinated, we encourage you to get the vaccinated. As 100% people or 99% people get vaccinated, we will take all the restriction off. But if you are not vaccinated, you keep the social distance and keep the mask on. And one more thing, we have like 700-800 people who are registered voter in our town, in District 2. And we are trying to put them all together. A lot of people, when you vote, you don't know who you are voting for. And we will, we made a WhatsApp group, please join that group. And if you don't know who to vote for, we will inform you who is running. Doesn't matter what party they are running, Democratic or Republican or Green Party or Independent. We will introduce them to you, and you will decide, and you will make your decision. And today we have invited Jorge Wadron. He's running for Council District 1. This is if you are in this town, Brentwood, Bayshore area, he will explain you which area is that. It is very important job for a lot of people who do some work in the town, or if you have any issues with the town, you can go and talk to him if he's elected. If you think, he is a nice guy, vote for him or ask him any question. He will be in the back after the speech, and he can answer all your questions. Thank you. So I give Jorge Wadron. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for the opportunity that you're giving me to introduce myself. For those who do not know me, I came to the United States in 1980 when I was a teenager. I was fleeing political violence from El Salvador after my father was killed. So we came, my mom and my siblings. I've been over 40 years in the United States. I have lived in Central Islip for over 17 years. And for far too long, the town board members, the present town board members, have ignored our minority communities of North Bay Shore, Brentwood, and Central Islip. That is why I decided to run. I'm running in Council District 1, which is from Wilson Boulevard in Central Islip all the way to Saricos Parkway, Spur Drive North, all the way to South Service Road on 495. We continue to be neglected and being underserved for the taxes that we pay. Islip Town is in a class by itself when it comes to taxes. The general tax fund since 2012 has increased by a whopping 60.4%. Yet, in this part of the town, we don't see the basic services as we should. Our garbage collection, our snow removal, our roads are crumbling, they're deteriorating day after day, and our cars get damaged. We got to spend on repairing those vehicles. And still, the town of Islip does not do its job as it should and as they do down south. The same dollar that we pay in taxes in this part of the town, they pay in the south part of the town. So we should get the same services that they do, but yet they ignore us and they give us, the end of the hand. So it is about time that we change that. For over 337 years, there has never been a minority elected to the town board. After so many years of legal battles in court for voting rights groups, now we have council-managed districts. And I am running on council-managed district number 1. So for now, we have the opportunity to elect somebody who lives in the community, who has been involved in the community for the past 16 years in different non-for-profit organizations helping out our residents. I am the essence of the American dream. That American dream that you do not hear to talk about lately because we are hearing only the racial and the hatred rhetoric from politicians. It is about that we change that. We need a new about face in the town of Islip. So if you want to be a part of history, and this is a historic year, 2021 is going to be the year in which somebody from this community is going to be elected to the town board. So if you want to be the part of that history, if you want to tell your children's children that you were part of electing the first minority to the town board, I am asking for your support. On November 2nd, please remember, vote for Jorge Guadron for Islip Town Council in District 1. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much. And I have a Dr. Saab for a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Not too much time is left for Qurbani. So we have the same arrangements like last year, $130 per animal. Food will be cooked for the orphans, and rest of the meat will be distributed to the poor tribes. So if you want to do the Qurbani, $130 cash, give it to the Imam, put it in an envelope with your name, your phone number, and your email. Jazakallah khairan. Or check made to cash.
Let's make dua for those brothers who are sick and the one who passed. Dr. Sanjida Hassan, she's mother-in-law of Brother Asif. Brother Asif is the son of Dr. Hafizur Rahman. Salatul Janazah will be tomorrow in New Jersey. Brother Muhammad Zubair, relative of Dr. Yunus Sahib, he's sick, make dua for him. Brother Yusuf Qadri, from our community, he's sick, make dua for him, he's going for his surgery. Dr. Hafizur Rahman, he's back to Masjid alhamdulillah, but still he needs our du'as. Sister Mehnaz, make dua for her recovery. She is struggling with long treatment. Make dua for her, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her shifa kamila and ajila. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم إنا نسألك لهم شفاء كاملا عاجلا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس واشف أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. نسأل الله العظيم رب العرش العظيم أن يشفيهم ويشفينا. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.